Hello and welcome to day 5 and the fifth final day of the Nervous System Reset Challenge. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and we've got another session here to get through. So it's vagus nerve reset. So some people call this the vagal nerve, vagus nerve. It doesn't matter, they're talking about the same thing. So let's have a look. Let's begin. So let's start with an overview of day 4. Yesterday we looked at emotional regulation, what it is and why it is important. We looked at things like the emotion scale and talked about rumble strip, the emotions being like a signal to get you to pay attention. We looked at the ability for wild animals to be able to discharge these emotions, and we took the example of a duck flapping its wings. And then I very briefly touched on emotional freedom technique or tapping. I didn't quite have time to go over it, so I might do another challenge like this in a couple of weeks where I focus on emotional freedom technique for things like resetting the nervous system, anxiety, stress, that type of thing. So let's move on to today's lesson. So what is the vagus nerve? You might have heard of it. It's actually one of our cranial nerves, but it touches every organ in our body, and there's lots of connections to the gut. So this, the gut brain connected to the physical brain. It's a critical part of our rest, digest, and relax system, known as the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is the nervous system that we're designed to be in 95% of the time. It's where we feel most at ease, where we have access to our common sense, our humanness, our empathy. And so this nerve is really good at stimulating that nervous system response in us. It also controls things like our heart rate, our digestion, our breathing, and our swallowing, really unconscious programs that are essential to us. So the health of this, the tone of this nerve is really important. This nerve also affects our mental health. There's lots of research around this now, and stimulating it, so doing exercises to increase, it's called vagal tone, so increasing the tone of this nerve, has been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, and even PTS symptoms. So there's a type of psychology called polyvagal therapy, and it's a really good therapy, and it has a lot to say about the nervous system, and they use this ladder that I've recreated here. So there's a lot of information here, but let's just go through it one step at a time. So they use different terms than I've perhaps been using. So ventral vagal, this is the parasympathetic activation of the nervous system. So think paradise. So this is rest, digest, and connect. Okay, so when the nervous system is in ventral vagal, we feel safe and we feel social. We're connected, we're curious, we're grounded, we're present, we're creative. So we're zoomed out, we can see the bigger picture. And the phrase associated with ventral vagal activation is I'm okay. The world's safe, I'm safe. Okay, and then as we move into sympathetic, so think stress response, fight, flight, we come into a mobilized state. So this, again, the nervous system is there to protect us from predators. Okay, it's an ancient technology, and so to get away from predators or to survive, one of the things the nervous system will do will put you into fight. This is anger, go towards energy, let's attack this predator before it attacks me. Flight, this is anxiety, let's run away from this predator. Both of these defense mechanisms need the body to be mobilized into action. Okay, so very activating. If we're in this type of nervous system activation, we can become defensive and irritable. Okay, so that's more the fight aspect. We can become worried and anxious. So that's the flight. Angry, protective, so them and us sort of mentality. It can feel chaotic. in the body and the mind. We can feel very overwhelmed. And the phrase to do with this is, I'm stressed. And usually the thought is, there's something out there stressing me. Okay, so I need to fight it or get away from it. Okay, so moving down into the final stage of this nervous system ladder is called dorsal vagal. And this is opposite to the fight flight. This is where the nervous system feels that we're unable to fight and we're unable to run away. And so again, because this is built for predators tend to need a moving target. So if the person can't fight or run, they'll go into freeze mode as a protection. And this feels like being immobilized, collapsed. This is often called dorsal vagal collapse. So we feel frozen. This is the freeze part of the fight, flight, freeze nervous system. We feel numb. Often people have learned to dissociate, especially if this happened in childhood. They learn to sort of pop out of the body for a protection. We can feel depressed, shut down, withdrawn, hopeless, helpless, foggy. It's a very difficult nervous system to live in for a long term. And the feeling is, I'm unlovable and there's no meaning in life. Okay? So they are the three states of the nervous system, looking at it through the polyvagal ladder. Okay, so now that we know what the ladder is, it's important to know that we travel up and down this ladder all of the time. Okay, it's normal, really normal. If you've got a pet, if you've got a cat or something, you walk into a room and the cat jumps out of you, boosh, you're straight into fight flight, typically. Yeah? Or some people get so activated they collapse if they get a big fright. This is the nervous system just coming in. So it's not wrong or right to be in any of these states. It's just using your ability to start to get to know them. The goal is to be able to become flexible in those shifts between the states. So if something happens and you go into one of the stress responses, the bottom two, then becoming aware of it and processing anything that needs to be processed, any emotions, being with it, and then learning to be flexible to come back to rest and digest. So bring awareness to become an expert state detector. Where are you on that ladder? What nervous system are you acting from? Yeah, there'll be signs, there'll be clues. We're looking at physical signs, what happens when I'm in the lower one, what happens when I'm in the fight flight one. Yeah, how do I feel when I'm in rest and digest, the top one? What does that feel like, so that we know where we are? Because if we know where we are, again, like we said in the emotional regulation one, we can start to go easy, perhaps, if we're in the lower two. Be careful what we're saying. Be careful of making any massive decisions. And then when we get back to rest and digest, we can learn and do anything that needs doing. So also becoming an expert state detector gives us a sense of control. When we don't know what's going on with the nervous system, we can really feel out of control. It feels like life is happening to us from the outside in, and we don't like that as humans, because it's not actually how it works. Okay. When not in awareness, this is really critical, and we touched on this in the emotional regulation one yesterday as well. When we're not in awareness, we become hijacked and sucked in to habitual responses and the story that the mind is telling. So when we are just being activated by these nervous system responses, we become very reactive. And so the programming, the beliefs, the habits, they just come out. So you find yourself doing things, saying things, because we just go into this operating mode of do what's familiar, do what I've done in the past. And so really you can see when someone gets angry that it's not really funny, but some behaviours you'll see that they started at early childhood, because you can see the tantrumy sort of nature of it. And this is because in that state of activation, these old programs are swooping in and taking over. So we're very reactive. Okay, so through emotional regulation and through increasing your vagal tone, we're really looking at being able to move into healthy response out of automatic reaction. And a healthy response can still be a strong no, but it's not coming from a reacted, mind-based, nervous system-based automatic reaction. And so that last bit, again, we talked about it's important when we're in a heightened state of emotion, when our nervous system is activated, to not allow the mind to swoop in and tell a story about it, to perpetuate it. That is just keeping us in the level of nervous system activation that we are in. Okay, so it's important to learn, and it takes a lot of practice, to move away from the story that the mind is trying to spin. Okay, so how do we actually increase the tone of the vagus nerve? How do we reset it back to a healthy tone? There's lots of practical ways, dead easy. Deep breathing. So this, if you think about the main part of the vagus nerve passing through your throat, your neck, so anything you're doing around here, deep breathing, and it's every nerve of the body and every organ of the body, so using a diaphragm as well, helps activate the vagus nerve. And remember, the vagus nerve is saying to the nervous system, calm down, go back to parasympathetic, go back to paradise, go back to rest and digest. This is what we want. Okay, so deep breathing. We looked at breathing in day 3, so 7-11. If you haven't looked at that, you can go back and have a look. But any type of deep breathing will help. But the benefit of 7-11 is it's also giving messages of safety to the nervous system. Singing or humming. It's great for activating the vagus nerve, increasing its strength. Okay, gargling, again. Laughing, okay. Some of these things that we can do really quickly, really easily. Doesn't have to be take up a lot of time, but all of these things really helpful. Cold water. There's a lot of research. You've probably heard of Wim Hof and jumping into cold water tanks. Perhaps not for me, but cold water is a really useful one, because even if you can't get into open water, cold water, you can turn the temperature in your shower down temporarily. But if you're out and about, if you're at work, if you're in your day, you can put your wrists under the cold water tap, and that is really helpful. You can splash your face, you can put an ice pack on the back of your neck. Just be creative with the cold water, and that is helping stimulate the vagus nerve. Massage is a really good one. So treat yourself to a massage and know that it's therapeutic, it's not just pampering. Doing exercise that you enjoy. And when you're trying to reset your vagus nerve, it's important not to be forcing yourself to do exercise that you hate and it's stressing you out more. This is about doing any type of exercise. It doesn't matter what it is, just moving your body to help reset the nerve. And connection. When we're in connection with other humans, however that looks, or with a pet, then it gives, it relaxes the vagus nerve. So it's really, really good. Okay. So there is a technique, an exercise that we can do to reset the vagus nerve, and I'll just quickly talk you through it. It's easier to start with if you're lying down, but obviously for the purpose of this video, I'll do it sitting up, and excuse the funny looks on my face. So we're wanting to release the vagus nerve. So to start with, we just turn our head to one side, and then we turn it to the other. And we're just seeing, is one side easier than the other? Is there any resistance on either of the sides? Just noticing this. Okay. And then we clasp our hands, if you're able to, and put them behind your head. Again, this might be tricky. If one of your shoulders or something is hurting, you can, if you lie down, you can just do one. It's just trying to keep your head supported. And then you keep your head looking forward, you keep it supported, and then you turn to look at one of your elbows. Okay, and then you hold that for 30 seconds at least, 60 seconds if you can. You reset back to the beginning, and then you look at the opposite elbow, keeping your head forward, just moving the eyes. Okay, and again you're doing that for 30 to 60 seconds, and then release, and then again move your head Are you noticing any difference? You might get if you hold it for long enough, 30 to 60 seconds, what we're looking for is a sigh, any noises, a sense of release, a tingling. I've got a tingling now up the back of my neck, so I know there's something releasing there. So have a look. You'll probably be able to find the exercise on YouTube as well. Or obviously be careful if you've got any shoulder or neck problems, just modify it to suit yourself. But have a go, see how you get on. Let me know if you have any sensations as you do it, and I hope you've enjoyed this mini series, this mini challenge, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye.